Imagine walking through London on an ordinary day and suddenly hearing the Beatles playing live above your head. No tickets, no announcement, just music pouring down from a rooftop, so loud it stops traffic and pulls people into the streets. This wasn't just a concert, it was the Beatles' final public performance. Welcome back to History in Context, 28. Today we're going to the winter of 1969, to a rooftop in central London, where four men gave one last live statement to the world, without even meaning to make it legendary. By the end of the 1960s, the Beatles weren't the unstoppable unit they once were. They were still creating incredible music, but behind the scenes things were tense. Creative disagreements, personal stress, and the growing feeling that the band's era might be closing. At the same time, they were working on a project that would become Let It Be, originally meant to capture them getting back to their roots, playing together, live, as a band. But they didn't have a clear plan for a big show. Ideas floated around. An arena, a TV special, even wild locations, but nothing stuck. Then came the simplest idea. Go to the roof of their own building, Apple Corps headquarters on Savile Row, and just play. So on January 30th, 1969, the Beatles walked up there with their instruments, joined by keyboardist Billy Preston, and launched into an unannounced set. No crowd control, no stage lights, no promotion, just raw, live sound bouncing off the city streets. Down below, Londoners stopped in their tracks. People gathered outside, craning their necks, smiling, pointing, trying to figure out if what they were hearing was real. The music didn't just attract fans, it disrupted the city. Traffic slowed, office workers leaned out of windows, passers-by formed a crowd. And eventually the police arrived after complaints about noise and disruption. The show didn't end with an encore, it ended with pressure at the door as the authorities pushed to shut it down. But that's part of what made it so iconic. It wasn't a polished farewell. It was spontaneous, slightly chaotic, and completely unforgettable. When it was finally over, John Lennon delivered one of the most famous closing lines in music history. "I'd like to say thank you on behalf of the group and ourselves, and I hope we pass the audition." It sounded like a joke, but it landed like a final curtain call. Because without announcing it, the Beatles had just given the world their last public performance, high above the streets one last time together. And that's the story of the Beatles' final bow, a rooftop concert that turned an ordinary London day into history. If you want more moments like this, subscribe to History in Context, 928, and drop a comment. If you were on that street in 1969, what would you do? Run toward the sound or just stand there in shock?